Okay, so I have a story I would like to tell you today. 1.5 years ago, approximately, I went to a training, to a SAFe training in Brussels, conducted by Joe Vallon, which is one of the Agile scale guru on this SAFe enterprise. And I become a consultant of this framework. I was certified SPC, so for the one who knows, consultant for the framework. So it means that I'm able to sell or translate this framework in the organization. And at this point of time, within the context I was operating on, I was convinced of one thing, is that SAFe is the solution for any organization, any big organization, to scale their agile delivery. Okay? So at this point of time, I was pretty sure that this is a good framework which will allow us to train our people. There are a lot of trainings, there are a lot of templates available and so on, which can just take it and apply it to our business. Since then, I joined SEB. So it's, for most of you knows, it's a Swedish bank. So I joined SEB. And my mission as a chief Scrum Master within this bank is to make sure that the Agile release train, or the tribe, if we take the term that we are using in SEB, is delivering in the best Agile way as possible. Okay? So when I joined SEB, we had already, there is an Agile transformation and a SAFe implementation ongoing. So I joined SEB with a context of a teams or a tribe which is already established and with already an Agile way of working in place. So my first idea was, okay, so what do I have? What, as a Chief Scrum Master, do I take from this setup? So I try to understand what are the current situation. So I inspect the current situation. What I found out was actually quite interesting. First of all, we have tribes. So we have a group of teams working together towards the common missions, toward the common vision. Okay? So these teams were Agile teams. Most of them were working based on the Scrum framework. So it means that we have Scrum Masters in place, we have product owners, we had development teams, so the three roles Scrum, but we also have business people working together closely with the team. So we have business people even on the same floor, working directly with the team, collaborating every day with the team, with the development teams. So it's really good for the feedback loop and so on and so forth. We were working iteratively. So it means that we were taking our items and the teams were working with what we call sprints, 2 to 4 weeks maximum, and they were planning for this period of time. And they were delivering something, presenting what they are delivering, gathering feedback, and planning for the next iteration, as Scrum tells us. On a tribe level, we were working on a quarter based. So we had what we call big room planning in SEB, but it's called in SAFe PI planning. It's a 2-day event where all the teams from these tribes are going together, and they are planning together for the next quarter. So we are planning for on higher level, a bit higher level, the quarter, the upcoming quarter. And the output of this PI planning is to have in place a program plan where for our stakeholders to understand what we'll deliver with dependency identified, but also the risk and the issue we may have during this quarter as we see in our plan. We also had reviews. So every quarter we make a review for all the tribes, and we were presenting to our stakeholder what we have been doing, what was completed, maybe not completed as well, and it brings transparency to our customers, to our stakeholders there. Also allow us to gather more feedbacks from our stakeholders. We had backlogs. We had team backlogs. So each team has its own backlog, consisted of epics, user story, tasks, subtasks. So if you look to the Agile world, it's really what we want, such kind of backlog. This backlog were consisting not only on business items, but also on IT items, things that we need to do to make sure that our system are still up and running. So it's coming from different stakeholders, from the business stakeholders, from the IT, from the team manager stakeholders. We were working with more initiatives and projects. So So SAFe is telling us we don't want to work with project anymore. Project is bad. So let's work with initiatives. So that's what we were implementing as well. We have initiatives. We have also some projects, but we are moving forwards more initiatives. Also, we have the portfolio Kanban. So what it is, it's a Kanban, it's a board where we can see all our items, what is in pipeline, what is coming to our delivery. So it's a board where everything was collected, all the items that we want to deliver were there. So we understand what is going on. So for me, these situations, if we look to the SAFe as a framework, it's quite good. It looks good. I think, okay, why am I here actually? Because this is exactly what needs to be implemented. So that's good. I will take it and we will run out. We run and that's it. But then I learned something during my career of driving changes and managing projects, is that filling out checkbox on checklist is maybe not the best measure of success. One thing is really important, and if you take the Agile Manifesto, it's also what they are saying, is to understand what your customer, what your stakeholder wants. What is their feelings? What is their perception of this change and the way of working? It's a new way of working. So I said, okay, let's discuss a bit with my stakeholders. Let's listen to my stakeholders, understand what is their view on that. And the feedback I received from them was quite interesting. Some of them were telling me, okay, we don't know exactly actually what are the priorities coming on. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, we have a portfolio Kanban, so it means that everything should be transparent. What we are doing, what is in pipeline, how come we don't know the priorities there? Okay, we look to the Kanban, we have more than 100 items in progress. So how do you want to make a priority when we have too much items in the same time? All of them with a really stretched deadlines. Because we are working on a regulatory organization as well, or regulatory part, yes. So it's all with a clear deadline, stretched deadline. So we need to make sure that everything is delivered on the same time. So that was, okay, interesting. Priorities questions. Some other stakeholders were telling me, and this was from the team most of the time, we do not understand the requirements. We have some things to do, but it's not really clear what we have to do. We are spending time on understanding what is there. And this is interesting as well, because we have the business together with IT sitting together, speaking together. So that was interesting to hear. So where is the issue? And we look to the backlogs and so on. And yes, we have some items which were really maybe defined the best way, because the communication, verbal communication was happening, but then maybe the written communication was not that good as it could have been. So that was some interesting setup. Another thing that I heard, it was from important stakeholders actually, it's project managers. The feedback was, okay, before we knew what were going on with our project, we are project teams and we know what's going on. Now it's really difficult to understand what's going on, and another part, it's quite a long time to deliver the deliverables of the project. Okay, that's also an interesting part. So what's something was maybe not that good as well there. And also one of the last feedback I also received is not last feedback, but one last I would like to share is that some people were coming to me and saying, okay, we have a framework which seems to be working, and yes, actually it works. The way there is some improvement, but it works. But from my perspective, my role is not described in this framework, and I'm quite not sure what now I should do. What is my role in this framework? What's expected from me? So all this feedback I've received from different stakeholders, from different kind of stakeholders, make me think, okay, maybe there is something where we need to improve. Maybe there is a framework in place, but we maybe need to improve something. And as René mentioned, everyone is going Agile right now. I mean, it's a buzzword everywhere, yes? Everyone knows about Agile. But then I thought, okay, why SEB is doing Agile? Do we know why SEB is currently doing Agile? Why do we go in this direction? Is it just to make sure that we are doing like others and we want to be Agile? So I decided to speak with my management a bit. What is just for us? What is in need for him? So this person, Johan Forsberg, is head of corporate function and international site in our bank. And I spoke with him and I asked him a simple question. So, what is Agile for you? What does it mean for you, for the team you are working on and your department? And he gave me quite really interesting answers. First thing he told me is that for me it's important to understand that my team are making the right things faster and in the right way. So he wants to do the what in a better quality, in a good way, but also in a better quality or in a good quality and fast. So that was what for him it means. What also was really important for him is that we remove the silos between the organization. He says that it's important that business and IT are working as one flow together to be able to remove the obstacles that we have. So it means that we don't have any more business, IT, but we work together and we remove the obstacles. And doing like this, we will be able to understand what is our development capacity for us to develop new things. So it doesn't mean development capacity, it's development team capacity. It's development capacity, how much time combined from business, IT, operation if we have them as well, how much time do we have to develop new things? Okay? How much time can we spend on developing new feature, new things? And the last thing he told me before we close the discussion was actually really interesting. He told me, you know what, Denis, the overall things that we need to remember is that Agile is not about the framework, but it's about the mindset. So if we implement the framework without the good mindset, we'll never get the benefits of the framework. So for me, after this discussion, it was really interesting because I had a vision. I have a current state, so where we are, what we have, what is currently happening in the tribe and in our department, and also I have received the feedbacks where there is something which can be improved. So this is where I think, okay, what should I start with? And the first thing I think on is I need data. I need data to have to be able to take some decisions. And to do that, I define the KPIs. And I think this is something really important, that we define our KPIs. And these KPIs can differ from team to team, can differ from organization to organization, but it's really important to define the KPIs that we want to track. First KPIs that we tracked, or first we start to track, is time to market. So as Johan told me, and the bank said that we want to be faster. Okay, but what does it mean for us? What does it mean for me, for my tribe? Where are we now? How fast are we now? So we start to track the time to market. How much time do we need from the time we get the items to the time we deliver it to our stakeholders? So we start to track the time to market. This gives us an indication also. Is it good enough for us? Maybe it's good enough. Maybe we need to not to spend so much time on it, because the cost of spending time on improving the time to market will cost us too much than the benefits. But this is at least the data that we know where we can be and when we can improve and where we can improve. The other KPI was the delivery part. How much percentage do we deliver versus what we have planned? And this actually is a metrics which bring a lot of transparency to our stakeholders, what they can expect from us. What can they expect and when can they expect the things to be done? And again, look at this from a perspective that is it good for you stakeholders right now? So if we said that our delivery currently is 90% of what we have planned, for our stakeholder, is it good enough? Should we invest more time on planning better, on refining better our items if we deliver 90%? If we deliver 50, is it good enough or not? So this allows us to have a discussion with our team, with our stakeholders, to be able to improve our deliveries and time delivery. Then we also start to discuss and to track the development versus maintenance time we have. So also, as we discussed with management, the purpose was also to understand how much time do we have to develop new things. But it's important then to understand how much time do we spend on maintenance and when. Because as a regulatory or reporting part, we have the closings, which will take time, which most of the time will have more maintenance than the rest of the months. So this is important to understand. Where are we? When can we spend more time on development? When we can spend less time on development? Again, it's bring transparency and it's bring also understanding where we need to improve. Numbers of release per month. This is also a metrics which you need to adapt to your context. And this is really important, because if you look around you right now, There is a company like Amazon, Google, which release thousands times per day. I used to work in a company we release few times a day, and that was fine. In our context, in the current teams that I'm working on, does that make sense to release few times a day? Maybe, maybe not. I have teams which release few times a week, teams which release few times a month. But it's something that we need to take decision knowing our context. It's maybe not necessary to invest so much in defining our systems, in defining our development flow, so that we can release few times a day if there is no need for that. Okay? And maybe there is a need, not what I'm saying, but we need to find out. Other KPIs that we also try to start to track is the numbers of incidents. So numbers of incidents is also something which provide you an understanding on your development flow, on your development process. How we doing right? Is our incidents always coming after release, for example? Which will mean that we may need to spend a bit, we may have some issues on the testing part, may have some issues that we don't have code review in place or something like this. Or is it because we have systems which we need to refactor a bit more and then to prioritize it in the backlog to refactor, which will then decrease our time that we spend on maintenance and increase the time we spend on development. So all these things are coming together. If we look at these two numbers, numbers of incidents and numbers of release per month together, if we have a team which we release 2 times a month, stakeholders are really happy with this cadence of release. But every time they release, we have incidents which are happening. Do we really need to spend more time on releasing more often if every time we have incidents? No, I think the focus we should have is on the quality. So it's on numbers of incidents. So we do not maybe need to be faster, but we need to be more quality-wise. Okay, so this is something that we need to look at this. Clear role and responsibilities. When we work with people, so it's also really important that they understand what it's expecting from them. There will be some roles when you use a new way of working, roles will change, and some people will have to understand what is their new role or how the role change. Let's take project manager again. How do they interact with the team? When do they receive any input to their project plan and so on? So we need to make sure that the people are trained to make to their responsibility, to their new roles. Team manager or line managers. If you look to SAFe, there is nothing written about line managers. What should they do? They have this HR responsibility which will stay. They have to make sure that the teams understand the change, why we are doing changes, to motivate the teams, to make sure that some items which are coming more from a system or IT perspective are in the backlog, so they're becoming the stakeholders also of the teams. But all these things need to be clear for the people. So we need to train the people. And this also is a KPI. It's not a numbers, but it's a KPI. Make sure that the people understand their rights, their roles. Sorry. Backlog item I define for the team. Definition of ready for the ones which have heard. So we need to make sure that we understand what needs to be delivered. So we need to make sure that the team understands what needs to be delivered. But we need to make sure also that we do not invest too much time on refining the item before we start developing, because the overall process is to start and develop faster or deliver faster. So as soon as we can develop something and deliver it, it's better than to wait and analyze and do a lot of analysis. But we need to find the right balance, because if we don't do enough analysis or refinement, we will still spend more time than later, and we could actually make more damage than good things. End-to-end value flow understood. This is an important concept. We need to make sure that we understand what is needed to deliver a product, what are the steps needed. And this is important because this allows us also to make sure that we reduce the dependency between the teams. If we're able to construct the teams based on our value flow, it will allow us to have less dependency between the teams over there. Okay? And we can have a lot of different KPIs. All these KPIs which make sense for us, because it's KPIs that, based on what we want to achieve, make sense for us. But what is important is that you define your own KPIs. When you start such kind of implementation, when you work Agile, you define your KPIs and you track them. So if we take the example of definition of ready, if you want to have a definition of ready, it makes sense for you, just revisit it time to time. Do we spend really enough time on analysis or too much time? And then refine it and refine it. An important part is that you need to find your agility. There is no, and there was a speaker in a conference in Warsaw, Joshua, was told once, there is no court for Agile. There is no one Agile. You need to find what is Agile for you. For our context, for the regulatory reporting context, it's something really different than for Amazon or for Google. So we need to find this particular agility which is ours, and by defining our KPIs. And to conclude, I think it's really important to understand that a framework is only a framework. So scaling Agile is not about the framework. It's about understanding what we want to achieve and understanding that what is the Agile mindset which will help us to achieve what we want to achieve. Thank you.